And welcome, Hoosier Nation, to our 33rd episode of the Hoosier Sound, where our show has one main goal to give you our perspective of IU sports from the point of view as a student or a young adult. In addition, we will also give our view from hot takes from around the world of sports. We are recording this edition on Tuesday evening, April 24th, where I am your host, Noah Freeman, and I am here with my usual co-host, Matt Lukens.
Hey, guys.
We will be going live every Tuesday evening at 8:30 p.m., but if you miss us live, you can subscribe to various networks so you can listen on your own time. Check out our social media and subscribe. All of the information is in our website, thehoosiersound.com. All right, Hoosier Nation, it is time for some sports talk. First, we had the one and only biggest weekend ever each year at IU with the Little 500. Whether you actually go to the race or not is a little different story. But
yes.
Matt was here or went to the race itself, and he's here to tell you just a little bit about Little 500, the weekend in general.
All right. Well, Little Five, obviously, as you know, best college weekend in America by far. Sorry, there's no comparison. But even Grand Prix or whatever Prix does, LOL. Anyways, yeah. So women's race was I didn't get to go to the women's race because that was Friday night, and I had other plans on Friday night. But anyways, that happened to be, I think, who won that race? Do you remember who won the race?
I do not.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, the team that won the race, they were in like sixth position with like 3 laps to go, and they made up a whole bunch of ground and ended up blowing them all out of the water. So if I forget the sorority, my apologies. But when it came to the men's race, I was at the men's race. It was a good race. Not too many crashes this year, which is always good because the safety of the riders are always forefront, most important. But when they did stumble, there was a couple fun ones. SIGEP was leading the race for most of it, and SAE was also leading the race for a good portion of it. Both of them flipping on back and forth between which one was leading, which one wasn't. And SIGEP on an exchange got caught up with another bike. I forget which fraternity or organization it was, but they were ahead by a lot, and on an exchange got caught up with another one, and they crashed, and then they were basically out of it for the rest of the race. They tried to come back, but it was almost impossible for them to win at that point. SAE looked like they were going to win, and then in the last lap, the Cutters come back from they must have been 7th on the last lap, come all the way back and won the race. So congratulations to the Cutters team for a great race. That was super exciting. And shout out to our one of our often guests, Noah Skibby, for predicting that the Cutters were going to win this year. So I'm sure he's going to be happy that I shouted him out about that. So
yeah, he was showboating basically the entire time.
Yeah,
after the race that
he did call it. Black Key Bulls, who were the winners the last, I think, 2 or 3 years. I think they ended up getting 2nd or 3rd. So
yeah, and he can showboat on the episode next week because I will be out next week, and he will be filling in for me because next week. Here's a tease. Obviously, we know what's happening in 6 days. If you don't remember, check your calendars and see that day is April 30th. Make sure you tune in wherever they're going to be showing that at 7 o'clock Eastern time, so you can see where the one and only Romeo Langford will be making his decision. And
I just found out I have an exam at that exact same time, so.
I'll be there. I'll be on Twitter updating.
Everybody, if he commits, everybody call me. That way I know, because it's just my phone will just be constantly vibrating, and I'll just be happy in a great mood.
You just set your ringtone to the IU fight song, so then when someone calls it, then you'll know that that Romeo committed.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
But you should set it to like different people. So if Vanderbilt commits, then like if I call you and it's Vanderbilt's ringtone or something, that you'll be like, oh, Vanderbilt, you've committed to Vanderbilt.
Nobody knows Vanderbilt's ringtone.
But next Tuesday, that's what our show is going to be about, regardless, because Romeo is either committing or he's not, and it's going to happen next Monday. So
thanks, Captain Obvious.
Yeah, thanks. But regardless, if he doesn't commit, we'll still talk about the team, because obviously we'll have a much clearer picture of the team next year. We'll be able to see if Archie's going to recruit hard for transfers, or if obviously that scholarship's taken away, to see if Romeo's on the team. So next week will be fun. Hopefully it won't be a very sad episode, and hopefully it'll be a very happy episode to come. But we're going to move on to the bulk of our show, which Matt was saying, but before we went on air, that we could talk about this for hours, basically. And we're now getting into, right as 2018 recruiting is basically wrapping up. Sports are year-round events, basically. So we're already talking about 2019 recruiting. And why do you think we're talking about 2019 recruiting? Because Archie Miller has already offered 3 additional top 50 guards, basically top 50 guards in the 24/7 composite rankings, which we're about to talk about. And we'll get into everyone that he's basically offered. But let's start with the 3 people that he has just offered within the past week and a half, I think, was the first one that he offered. So we're going to start first with DJ Carlton. He's visited. I'll give him a little background for everyone.
It's Carton, by the way.
Oh, yes. I see, man. I knew someone in high school that was named Carlton, and I always add an L. I even write it down as Carton. DJ Carton. But without my mishaps, DJ Carton, he's visited Bloomington the past season. He went to the Purdue game. He's got a bunch of scholarship offers. He's got more than 15 offers. So he's a guy that's already highly sought out. He's 6'1". Excuse me, man, I cannot talk tonight. But he is a 6'1" point guard. By the way, all of these recruits are point guards, combo guards, that kind of stuff. So first, that is already a point in itself, which we will get to. But DJ Carton, 6'1" point guard who is ranked. Updates. We're going live Tuesday evening. We're at Tuesday evening at 8:30 p.m. It updates like daily. I know even like last week when he first got offered, he was at a different spot, so he could be different. But at this exact point in time, he's the 34th best recruit. So Matt, I got some points on him, but do you want to talk about him for a minute?
Sure. DJ is a point guard that I think Archie's been eyeing for a while, whether he was at Dayton or he was at IU now. He's an eye on him for a while. Obviously, he came last year, and I think that was his junior year. Yeah, it's junior year. He's a junior. So it's good that we were jumping ahead of him in his junior year, obviously. Lowdown on TJ. First thing you think about when you look him up, or first thing you find when you look him up, is a highlight reel of him dunking over 3 people. So that should let you know what kind of a player he is. He's an athlete. Athlete first, passer second, shooter third. So like he could definitely work on his jump shot. I do it like kind of like there's different categories, and then obviously somebody's going to be really good at one category, and then maybe another category, and then they have to work on something else. So
especially with guards too, because they've got so much stuff to do. You can shoot, dribble, defense, pass. There's so much stuff. So yeah, obviously you're not going to be incredible at all of them unless you're Romeo Langford. But
DJ's got good size. He's 6'1", which for a college point guard is pretty much average size. He's 180 weight, which means he's got some good weight on him. That is not the same for almost all of these recruits, which we'll get to that. But he's 180, so he's got the meat on his bones. He's super athletic, like jump out of your gym athleticism. But he's like one of the most unassuming people that you will ever see. Like when you first look at him, he kind of looks like a bit of a dork. but he's a super athlete, and obviously he's earned the number 34 ranking in the class. But he's actually the third highest ranked point guard in the class. So that should speak very highly of the people that Archie's offering, especially DJ. He's from Bettendorf, Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
He's been recruited by Iowa for a very long time. Obviously,
Wisconsin's in the mix too.
Wisconsin. He goes to the basketball camp at Wisconsin. I'd be very interested to see if he comes to the Indiana Archie Miller basketball camp. I think that would be a good sign for us if he does end up coming. But yeah, that's all I got on DJ for you. He's a very, very, very interesting guard prospect. I think if I had a gun to my head and I had to point out one person in this class I wanted that was a guard, he would be the one. Obviously, he's the best one.
I had a lot of stuff. I also liked, which we'll get to in a minute. I like Trey Mann as well, but DJ Carton. I echo everything Matt said. That was he nailed on the head most of the stuff that DJ is really good at. Like he said, he's crazy athletic. If you just look at all of his replays, it's just replay after replay of how quick the initial step off the ball is. How much he can dribble, how much jump, blocking shot too. If in his replay, he's blocking a bunch of shots, not just guys that are shorter than him.
His defense is very underrated for, especially since he's a 6'1" guard.
Yeah,
he's got the defensive chops to play Archie Miller, a point guard in Archie Miller's system. Play Archie Miller.
Yeah, and I also noted down that if you also look at his highlight reels, that he can do everything. Obviously,
yes,
that's not going to happen in college because he's going to get to players where he's not going to be short in college. And I put that he is a little average, but he definitely is on the short side. But he can do a bunch of stuff. He can dribble, he can pass, he can shoot. He's been posting up players. Again, this is high school, so he can post up players now. But it just shows that he can do a lot of stuff, and he's really versatile, and he's not just a one-trick pony, basically, with either dribbling or passing or something like that. So he's got more than one thing, which is really good, especially on the IU teams of recent, that we need someone that can do more than one thing, because right now we've been trying to just put pieces together that haven't really been able to be put together. But he's also really crafty. If you look at more of the highlight reels, you can just see how he can really manipulate defenders. Some of the stuff that he can dribble, he's a very good juker, basically. Obviously,
if I had to compare him to somebody, it would be Carson Edwards from Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I think Carson Edwards is technically a shooting guard, but like he's going to be a point guard at the next level, at the NBA level. DJ is coming out of high school a better passer than Carson is, but same type of athleticism, crazy bounce, very decent shooter. Obviously, he's going to work on it to make it better, but I think he's still a very decent shooter and underrated defender. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's, like you said, he is a little average. I think he's going to come in at least with most of the competition. He is just going to be a little tiny, so he's going to have to work around having people shorter than him going to people being bigger than him. It's not too much of a thing. But the one other thing that I think he's got to work on, and part of it is just high school basketball being such a slower pace, but he's got to be a little quicker. His initial step is pretty good. But if he's just running down the court, he's not too quick, and he's good at finishing in the lane. He's just got to get quicker, so defenders can't move over just as quickly, so he can actually finish before there's a 7-foot man right in front of him.
Yeah.
But let's move on to Jameis Ramsey.
Yes, Jameis Ramsey.
He's I'll say a little bit about him first. He's a guy that's been kind of up and down from what I've been noticing on a lot of the rankings, so it's hard to get a good grasp on where people see him right now, which if you see him going up and down, that means he's just hasn't had a lot of people looking at him too much of recent, which means basically the past few months is when he's really been getting a lot of attention, and someone likes him, someone doesn't. But he's a guy that's originally from Texas, but he has moved to Florida. He plays at the IMG Academy in Florida. He's a 6'4" combo guard. And currently, and it's changed tremendously, especially with Ramsey. He's right now at slot. He's at the 36th ranking in 24/7 composite.
Yep.
You want to give us your takes on Jameis Ramsey?
Sure. So Jameis, I don't know how you technically pronounce it, because I don't want to.
I don't know either. That was my best guess. It's spelled Jahmius. I think it's Jameis, but
if you're watching this, I apologize if we're butchering your name. Anyway,
if he watches this, I would be shocked.
Ramsey. Again, first thing, you watch any of his highlight tapes, which is, I don't recommend watching highlight tapes because it's not going to give you the exact lowdown on what a recruit is, but is going to tell you what their strengths are, most likely. So Jameis, first thing you see is him dunking over people. He's a super freak athletic, like, no doubt. 6'4", 180, killing it. He's a big guard. And I'm excited that we are recruiting him. Again, if I had to pick, I'd want DJ Carton, but DJ's a point guard. So, and we already have a lot of point guards on the team already. And Jameis is a combo guard, which basically means he can play some point, he can play some two, he could probably even play three if you're playing 3-guard system. So he would be good to get, just because he's just such a rotational piece. Like, you can put him where you want to put him, and he's going to play well. He plays at IMG Academy, which, if you don't know what IMG Academy is, it's like the premier sports academy in high school. Like, for football, and every year almost guaranteed has at least 3 or 4 of the top 10 football players in America. As of recently, you look at Duke's Trayvon Duval was at IMG Academy. I can't remember anybody else that was there, but IMG Academy, and then Monteverde Academy, which has the likes of Ben Simmons and D'Angelo Russell. Those are the 2 academies in Florida that really focus on athletics. So he is in a really good place if he really wants to get better at the high school level. And he's going to come with that athletic, already that athletic training pedigree, because they have some really nice facilities. Like, their facilities at IMG are better than some colleges. So he's going to be, if he were to come to IU, I'd be very excited. Obviously, I think he has to work on his shooting still.
Yeah, I noted that too. That he doesn't also shoot very much either.
No, he doesn't. He's a cutter to the basket. So you give or take, but he's a super freak athletically, and obviously he can play the point, but he can also play the 2. And I think we're getting a shooting guard next year, so it would be nice to have somebody that could play the 2 next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say, because even if Romeo does come and he does his normal, what we would all think to be leaving after 1 year, obviously the main shooting guard spot is going to be open, probably, more or less. So we are going to need to recruit shooting guards as well. But that was the kind of stuff I wrote down as well, that he is taller. Technically, if he did, he's the kind of size that would make a good size NBA point guard if you were to get to that level. Except in college, like Matt said, it would be great. He could play 1, 2, even 3, depending on kind of like what Kareem and even Archie did sometimes with the 3-guard set.
Yep.
But gets to the basket, doesn't shoot too much. That's about where it is now. Obviously, he's got an entire senior year to still get better, and rankings change tremendously. But that's where he is now. Let's go to our 3rd and final recruit that Archie offered as of late, which is Trey Mann, a 6'1" point guard from the Villages. Mm-hmm. And right now, right now on 24/7 Composite, he is the 37th ranked recruit.
Yep, Trey, man, classic point guard. He's a much better shooter than the other three.
If you look at his, I think it's his top recruiting highlight reel video. Basically, someone or him put basically in parentheses Steph Curry as and obviously he is not. Or probably won't get to Steph Curry level. Few people would get to Steph Curry level, but that's it. We're just saying that he's got the qualities that Steph has, basically, kind of like that step back 3-point shot. He can shoot from well beyond the arc. He's already shooting at least a college level 3-point line. If you look at some of his shots, he's very close to an NBA line already. But really, if you do want to, and Matt's going to get into some of this, but that comparison is pretty good. He's just obviously not at that level.
Yeah, he's a less physically built than the other two. Obviously, with Jamius being 6'4", he's going to be the bigger, more athletic of the three of them. But DJ's obviously a freak athlete. Trey is 6'1", 150. Like, I'm heavier than him, and I'm 5'10".
So he looks like a baby right now.
He is a twig. Mm-hmm. So a Archie Miller weight room staff would do him very well. The problem is I don't think we're going to get him, just because obviously he's from Florida, but he plays the exact style of basketball that a Mike White at Florida would love to have, and they've been pushing really hard for him. I know, because I follow UF basketball recruiting. So I'm pretty sure he's not a shoe-in, but like it's very high chance he's going to UF. But like, if Archie can steal him, I'm going to be super excited. Of course, I'd love a mini Steph Curry on IU, a better shooting Devontae Green. Devontae tries to play like he's Steph Curry, but he's not. Yeah. Anyway, that's besides the fact. Trey has, I don't know, I want to say he has the highest ceiling of the three of them, but he definitely has a lot of potential that hasn't been tapped in yet. And that's because he's looks like a child.
He's still definitely going to grow.
No offense, Trey. Need to put on some muscle.
And it's also just everyone's built differently. Some people grow into their bodies much later. I think that's who he is. I think definitely he's really lanky right now. If you look at his body, you see 6'1" and you're like, oh, tiny. You'd think like Yogi Ferrell kind of stuff. No, his arms are really long. His legs are really long. I think he's still got a lot of growing in. But speaking of Yogi, I think one of the best, one of his most positive upsides, Trey's, is that he's got a really mean, basically like a step back juke move where he just basically pulls back with his foot, and it almost looks like his foot just pulls over, kind of like what Yogi always did with just stopping and then going backwards straight away. It looks almost exactly like that, which
of the people that we've offered, if you want to see a fun mixtape, go look at Trey Mans and go look at DJ Carton's. Both of them are a lot of fun to watch. Now, are they going to do that all the time? Probably not. And are mixtapes exactly what happens in a real basketball game? No. But they're fun to watch, and that's why you should go watch them.
Yeah. And yeah, I wrote that he's got some moves, also, basically.
He's the fourth, according to 247, he's the fourth highest rated point guard. So it's DJ and then him. Jamius is the fourth highest rated combo guard. I forgot to mention that last time, but
yeah. But yeah, like from what I was seeing, he's got some dribble moves. Obviously, he can shoot really well. So he's a guy that a point guard that you don't really see crazy, like you don't see too much that can just really pull up and shoot. He's not really an old-fashioned point guard. He's more of a modern day point guard. He can pass, and he isn't afraid to pass if there's a better shot available. There was one highlight reel, and again, like Matt said, it's a one snip of everything. But he had a sure layup, but as people collapsed on him, but he dumped it off to a guy that was wide open for even a closer shot. So he could pass the ball.
Yep.
In addition to shooting, he's got handles, and he's got some swagger too, especially as a little kid.
I think definitely has some swag. Like that's the first thing you watch is like, oh wow, this guy's a good shooter, and then second, like he's like pulling all these dribble moves on people. Like he has fun. He's fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a blast to have him as a Hoosier. But
wherever he goes, he's going to be fun to watch.
He's going to be a great college player. He'll be fun.
I agree, and especially because he's still got humongous potential, just like Matt talked about. So, those are the three guys that Archie just offered, and I love how he's offered. He didn't go out and just get anyone. Basically, he offered 3 point guards because you don't get all the recruits you offered. That's
right.
Obviously, you don't get all the people, but he offered guards. He knows that guard play is a humongous need for this team because Devontae's going to be almost out the door. Robert Finney is going to be coming in. You don't know where some of these players, maybe some people transfer. You never know. We definitely need guards and we need backups and stuff like that. So he went out. He offered. We're not going to get all 3, but that's the name of the game. You offer 3, maybe you get 1.
Yep.
But let's go real quick because we really are on 2019 recruiting. Let's go through quick and go through just a couple of the other people that are hot on Archie's list. We won't go through everyone because we're still getting into some of the people that Crean offered. If you go into 247 and you look at all the people IU offered, but basically we haven't really talked about Matthew Hurt because we had a lot of talk with Race Thompson trying to get basically his bud to come here and everything. So what have you heard basically from Matthew Hurt, the number 4 recruit in the nation as of now for 2019?
Matt, he's an interesting prospect because obviously he's from Minnesota, but he 100% reminds me of Kevin Love. If you ever watch his game, he's just a much skinnier version of a high school Kevin Love.
Again, another lanky person.
Yeah, another tall, lanky, can kind of jump out and shoot it if he wants to. Power forward. He's a lot of fun to watch. From what I know about him is that literally no one knows where the heck he's going. And that's good for us because his brother goes to Minnesota and has played some decent minutes for Minnesota. Not that Minnesota was that good this year. I think they had a worse season than IU did. But yeah, so he obviously has that connection with Minnesota. I think Kansas, Duke, basically everybody in the nation is recruiting this kid. But he talks highly of Archie. Every time somebody asks him about Archie, he's like, I love Archie. I love Tom. I think Tom Ostrom's the one who's recruiting him for IU. I love Tom Ostrom. He talks to me about life and whatnot. And he's visited last year, went and looked at the media center because I'm pretty sure he's looking into sports media and stuff like that.
Great place to major in.
Great place to major. And his best friend is Race Thompson. So I definitely think IU has a shot. This is another person that Archie's been recruiting since Dayton. Not that I don't think he was going to pull this guy at Dayton.
Still a relationship that's been there for a little while.
Obviously a relationship that's been there. He's been watching Archie for a while. He's the perfect big guy in an Archie Miller system. Or at least a perfect 4 in Archie Miller system. So he would be a heck of a lot of fun to watch as a Hoosier.
Mm-hmm. As of now, I'm not sure where Archie stands, where Matthew stands on Archie's list. I'm not sure if he's going to kind of give up on him or not, if he thinks he's out of reach right now. Like Matt said, there's not too much talk on him. It's not necessarily bad, but it's not necessarily good either because we really haven't heard anything about him since last summer when Race committed and Race was like, yo, you got to come here. And he took that one visit and that was about it.
He was in Indy this weekend for an Adidas event for was it Evansville for AAU. I'm pretty sure he was in what is it? Inside the hall, not assembly call. Inside the hall. So, interviewed him, and they were asking him about what are they doing? Had nothing but great things to say about IU. Again, it's an interview about a college, and if you're asked about that in your recruit, you're probably going to speak highly of them. But he did have an in-home visit with Archie and I think Tom Ostrom, which is a good sign. He wants to. I think he wants to. I think he said he wanted to commit in the fall. So I would probably assume if we're going to be in with him and like going to be in the final running for him, he's going to have a visit to Bloomington over the summer. So I would look out on the radar for that because you think he gets 2 more visits to IU. So.
Yeah. And obviously, with all these recruits, we're going to see where Archie's priority list is after Monday, because basically his 2018 recruiting is mostly going to be finished up besides grad transfers. So we'll get to see where his priority list is, which we're going to go quickly because we don't have too much time here. The next highest ranked is Trendon Watford. Obviously, if you're an IU fan, you don't need to be told the relationship that Trendon has with Indiana. But some good news that recently he got 2 in-home visits from Archie, which is pretty unheard of. So, and I think, again, it's another recruit that Archie's had to pick up the slack for because everyone was confused at why Tom Crean wouldn't automatically basically offer him.
Unbelievable. He's the 11th player in the class. He's the 3rd highest ranked small forward. He's a great shooting small forward. I have no idea why Tom Crean wouldn't offer him. He like fits Tom Crean's system perfectly.
Well, he offered him, just hasn't recruited him, basically.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yes. Exactly. Well, he's now apparently recruiting him at Georgia, but
yeah, you never know.
Who knows? Anyway, Trendon Watford, obviously the Watt shot, his brother, his little brother. But yeah, the thing that you mentioned about the 2 in-home visits. It wasn't that he just had 2 in-home visits, but he had 2 in-home visits in a week. That never happens. So that was really, really awesome to see.
Yeah, and a lot of IU people basically see this as an in-state recruit just because of his ties. He's going to be heavily recruited at Alabama because that's where he's from.
He's an in-program recruit.
So. Exactly. Yeah. Alabama's going to be pushing really hard, especially because they haven't been doing terrible. But that's Trendon as of now. We're going to go next to Trace Jackson Davis, the 23rd best recruit in 24/7 composite. Do you want to give a quick thing on Trace, where he stands with IU?
Trace would be the perfect center in Archie Miller's system. I know I said that Matt Hurt would be, but then there's Trace Jackson Davis. Both of them would be great big guys in the system. Trace has been around the program for a long time. But especially become buddy with Archie. He comes to games all the time. He's he goes to Center Grove, which is like, I think 45 minutes from here. So yeah, if there's anybody in this class that we're gonna get that's a 5-star that I'm more positive on, it's Trace. Also, Trace is really good friends with Romeo, so there's that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is. Yeah, Trace is, out of all of the top recruits for 2019, Trace is looks like it's leaning more towards IU than the rest of them. But
I'd be worried about Purdue coming sweeping in though for him. So
yeah, I agree. But then lastly, since we just talked about the 3 people that he offered just recently, we got Keon Brooks, which we forgot to talk about last week. The 28th best recruit in 24/7 composite right now. We wanted to talk about him for a specific reason. He has been looking at IU. IU has been pretty high on his list. He's talked highly of it. It's been he's up from Fort Wayne, so he's also going to get Michigan State's really high. Tom Izzo's been recruiting him for a lot because he's up there too. But there was I don't remember which 24/7 insider basically interviewed him, and we talked about a quote last week that Keon said in an interview, and this it quoted from Keon in this interview, talking about basically just IU and his recruiting at IU. And he said, it's at the front of my mind. Why go somewhere when I can do it at home? You know, I've always been intrigued by Indiana just because it's where I grew up and where I've always been. So just the thought that I could wear Indiana across my chest and be a star for them is something special. That's such a
That's a good sign.
Yeah, to say the least, that's a good sign that he's talking about just if he's talking about the pride of wearing Indiana across his chest, that's huge. That's what Indiana's all about. It's all about the name on the front of the jersey, not the back at IU, and that's what it seems like he's all about. And it seems like he would really love staying home. Obviously, Michigan State would be close, so his family wouldn't it be not too much difference travel wise, but technically it would still be in state. Keon would be a great addition. He's and another good IU recruiting aspect is if you didn't know this, Ed Schilling was actually the head coach of Keon Brooks's dad, Keon Brooks Sr.
At Wright State,
Wright State, where Keon Brooks Sr. actually had his senior year average 20.7 points per game over the entire season. So he had a pretty outstanding year to say the least there. So they've maintained a relationship, Keon Brooks Sr. and Ed Schilling. So that's obviously a huge positive because there's already an automatic in with them. Keon loves the place. That's just all great news for Indiana.
Definitely. Keon is a hot recruit, especially since I don't think Tom Crean was recruiting him.
Not too much. I think it was the same kind of thing as Trendon, like he offered him, but didn't really put too much time in it yet.
Yeah, so speaking of Trendon and Keon play the same position. They're both small forwards. Trendon's number 11, number 3 small forward. Keon's number 8 small forward nationally. But Keon, super athletic. I think he can probably play the 4 to play power forward. And he's developing a jump shot. Him and Trace Jackson Davis play on the same AAU team. So that's fun. So if you ever want to watch an AAU game, you should watch their games because maybe both of them end up at IU and you're just watching 2 IU players play with each other. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I think everything's looking up with Keon, though Keon and his dad are like really close, like I don't want to say family friends with the Izzos, but like they've been like being recruited by Tom Izzo for like the longest time. So if we lose him to Michigan State, I wouldn't be surprised. But obviously with those comments that you just brought up, Noah, like it seems like we're in a really good position for him.
Yeah, and I want to make one more comment just about the 2019 recruits, especially with those hot 5 stars and then top 4-star recruits that a lot of them, at least the ones we just talked about, not the guards, and excluding Matthew Hurt, so Keon, Trendon, and Trace. Trace is a little bigger, but they're all about the same position. And you think about the incoming freshmen right now, they're all about the same position. So you got to think you don't really want 9 or 10 people of the exact same position. So you got to think that some of these guys might jump on the IU offer sooner rather than later. And when I mean sooner, that could be months down the road. But just saying that they might jump on IU before, say Keon is thinking about IU, but then Trendon is also thinking about it. Maybe they both don't want to go there because there's not enough playing time. So Trendon jumps on it real quick because he doesn't want Keon to jump on it before him or something like that. So that's also a factor into it since they all play the same position. Good and bad aspects on both of it, but that's about where we're at. We're probably not going to hear too much about the 2019 recruiting class for a little bit. We'll get updates for you as soon as we go through the recruiting periods and just the 20,000 different rules that the NCAA has with recruiting periods. But it's going to start heating up. I definitely think it's going to heat up as soon as Romeo is obviously finished.
When it comes to the 2018 class and the 2019 class also ties into this, we also still have 1 scholarship spot left. And I was looking through some people were writing articles.
Assuming Romeo commits, we have 1 more.
Yeah, we have 1 more, right? Some people were saying that maybe Trendon Watford might reclassify into the class of 2018. And in that case, we have a scholarship spot for him. So I'm not saying that's going to happen, and I'm not saying that because they weren't they weren't solid concrete sources, but I was hearing whispers that there's a chance that he does reclassify. And if
Where
he
there's smoke,
does,
there's fire.
what? Yeah, when there's smoke, there's fire. Exactly. So there's a chance that he does that and then comes to IU. And so then we'll have 2 5-star recruits next year. So
Yeah, that's and who knows? There could also be someone again that comes in and pulls a race and red shirts, because I think Archie's going to like that. And if you look at Villanova winning this year in the past few years, they've got red shirt guys that are now doing incredible. So
yes,
that
exactly.
that could be the next trend in basketball. But you never know. We'll come back next week, hopefully with a Archie's pivotal 5-star recruit, hopefully coming to the place that we all want him to, program getter. And obviously, we've talked about this. If Romeo says yes, the dominoes might start falling, man. So IU could be turned around in a really quick time. All thanks to and very props going to Archie and his staff. But that about wraps it up for our 33rd show of the Hoosier Sound. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Stay tuned through updates on Twitter at the Hoosier Sound, especially in this next week if you want to hear stuff about Romeo. Maybe something accidentally gets leaked. I don't think it will, because Romeo and his family have done really well, but you never know. We are less than a week away. Stay tuned through Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, click that button right down there so you can see when we go live, and you can chat with us online, and visit our website, thehoosiersound.com, so you can find all of our information regarding our podcast. As always, send us your questions as the audience, so we can sure to comment, chat, send us a message at contact@thehoosiersound.com on what questions you have, and we'll get them on our next episode, especially maybe next week with all the stuff that's coming up. Lastly, if you enjoy our show, leave us a review, tell a friend, share our links. It really, really helps so that we can grow this podcast. But as always, thank you for listening, Hoosier Nation, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.